Good Sunday morning, everybody. Welcome into the Philly AM Sports here with Al, and not so much Mike today. Mike is a little under the weather, so it's just this guy today, guys. Welcome in. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to cover here. We're going to be talking Phillies' first two games. Today's the rubber match of the 1-1 series with the Rangers to start off the season and allow the overreactions to start pouring in. Oh, my God. It's like we've never been through a Philly season before, but we'll get into all that. We'll touch on the Eagles. Not too much news right now, kind of that lull right now between the free agency and draft moment, which I did mention the other day. 2 weeks from today, we will have a special draft guest on, a draft expert, a real expert, not just guys like me and who are just going to tell you about what we think they should get, look at who's popular in those areas, and give you information, but guys who actually cover it. My boy David will be jumping on for that, so we'll get more information as we get closer. So 2 weeks from today, because next week I was going to have him next week, and I'm like booked him next week like a moron. I'm like, oh, it's Easter, forgot it's Easter, so I moved that one another week out. So we got that covered. We got the Phillies Rangers, like I said, or Texas Rangers rubber match today. Flyers with a big W last night, and we're going to touch a little bit on fighting, UFC fighting, just a little bit. It's a little personal story I want to tell you about big win for local guy Joe Pfeiffer, who I actually was the first legitimate athlete that I covered when I started doing this, and friend of mine who is now in the UFC, who is now top 5 after his big win last night. So we'll talk about that just for a quick moment at the end. But I want to show a little love to him. We're going to talk a little Zach Wheeler getting it started in the Iron Pigs. That's why I'm on my little Iron Pigs love today. He started with the Iron Pigs last night. I'm going to touch on that for a moment. Trey Turner got a silver slugger. We'll talk about that for a second. And just takeaways from the first two Phillies games and yesterday's games, plus minuses, all that kind of stuff. We'll be moving forward. So I see the comments starting to roll in. My man, Soldier Steve. One of my biggest takeaways after 2 games is Crawford is going to be great here for a while. Small sample size, Steve, but it makes the future look bright. Having a young, energetic guy who can play the field as well as hit in center field, it's we've talked about this. We've talked about the ability to be patient and wait for these prospects and see how they see if they come to fruition, because we've heard the term for both Crawford and Painter. There's been plenty of times where we could have had some top list A-lister talent come here and get for Crawford or Painter and be able to move and maybe could have been the difference between winning a championship in the last couple of years or not. But we were told they were untouchable and to be patient. And first couple games, positives, right? Again, just like I'm telling people not overreact about the negatives, we also don't want to overreact about the positives. But so far, so good, man. So far, so good. Even a local guy, I know it's a Tigers guy, but Kevin McGonigal, who went to Bonner in Delaware County here, is so far early in his career with the Tigers, has been making a name for himself. So it's fun to watch it. Your patience pay off is a good way of putting it. Good morning, Rob. It's just Big Al today. No Mike. Mike texted me early this morning. He is feeling a little under the weather. So I said, just pump your brakes, but I got this. So it's just me today. You guys are my co-hosts today. So feel free to message him, to bring up your topics you want to talk about. Doesn't always have to be what I want to talk about. Elephant in the Moon, good morning, my friend. Nooms. How long does it take an average third baseman to figure out they're trying to pitch him inside, yet not just a potential game-winning AB? Yeah, listen, there is negatives and positives to take away from that game yesterday. I mean, the negative was the offense took 9 innings to get ready, to get anywhere, but they were able to, when things looked pretty bleak, they were able to come back. I mean, Bryce Harper, we saw what he did. Dolis Garcia survived which should have been a routine pop-up, should have ended the game then, and made them pay for it, because that's what you're supposed to do. When the other team makes a mistake, you don't just let them make a mistake and then survive it. When somebody makes a mistake, you make them pay for it. And but the Alec Boehm, that was, I mean, it was obvious they're pitching you inside. I mean, they had you to pull. I mean, you knew that when there's a giant gap. Kruk was talking about it during the broadcast. There's a lot of mistakes on both sides of the field yesterday. It's just who made less mistakes, and this time around was the Tigers. Aaron Nola had a couple home runs given up, but other than that, pitched okay. I wouldn't say it was great. 3 runs is not what you want to give up, but at the same time, this offense should be able to balance that out a little bit. Not have to wait 9 innings. Oh, that catch against the wall, Rob, total just highlight reel. ESPN top 10 moments, whatever you want to call it. I at first thought he dropped it in real time, like when I'm watching it on TV, because the way he kind of caught it and his arm kind of swung forward and down. It looked like he was trying to, like he dropped it and he was trying to pick it up the floor, but he was just trying to get his arm swung around so he can throw the ball, try to do like an outfield assist on top of it all. I mean, that would have been just crazy. It's just, because here's the other thing about that. This is the second time Crawford's playing at Citizens Bank Park. But let that settle in for a second. He's not just, it's his home field and everything, but to him, this is not home field. This is, and that was in Monty's corner. So that is a other big point to put out. Like, he played that well. It's only his second game out there. So I keep hoping to see more and more of him out there. A lot of poor quality at bats yesterday. It happens. Yeah, I mean, listen, it happens. I hate using it happens, but it's the second game of the season. Things are, you went from a really 75-degree day to a cold day. I'm not using the weather as an excuse. I'm just saying there is that part of March baseball that plays into it a little bit. Probably should have flip-flopped him with for the warm weather, because we know Nola does better in warm weather. And I think I wasn't sure if he was joining us. So it might not just be solo today. You're going to have the arguments galore will start today, right now, with me and Maddie. Maddie B.
Hey.
All right,
what time is it? What time is it?
10 a.m.
Don't be texting me in the morning about your problems, man. All right?
I told you didn't have to come on. You could have slept. No. You could have snuggled up in the coffin a little longer if you wanted to.
It's good to be here. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Sunday morning. Woohoo!
So this is what Sunday morning looks like to Matty B.
This is not conducive to my lifestyle choices.
Actually, here's perfect timing, Matt. And the Mike Papernick comment here, and I've seen this kind of go back and forth on Twitter. I want your opinion. Not a fan of bringing in a closer to start at extra innings off. Thoughts on that?
Well, I used to be a fan of that prior to the Ghost Runner. I used to be a fan of that. And I think it's situational. Obviously, it's a home game, so they're just looking to get him that inning, to get him out of that inning, and hopefully they win in the bottom of the next inning.
Mm-hmm. I think that's like a kind of push your chips kind of moving.
Because right, it's almost kind of like a save situation because you're trying to get back to batting again. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I understand, but I'm not a fan of the Ghost Runner, and that really, I think it's a stupid rule, and they got to get rid of it. But I mean, best option at that time, yeah, was listen. I'm not Duran. After his beginnings in Philly, which was the first couple weeks after he's been extremely meh to me. I'm not a huge fan of him anymore. I mean, he's a closer.
He's not guaranteed. Put it that way. He's not heart attack Hector in my eyes, but he has moments of it. Because here's the thing is, one of the big plus coming in there is like the man can throw gas, right? Like, but guys know how to hit gas now. You have to have a little deception with your pitch on top of the gas. So he has the control. I'll give him that much. And he has the gas. It's the deception at times that seems to be, I don't want to say lacking, but yeah, lacking would be where it scares me a little bit. Because, I mean, you saw Kutch. I mean, and that's a veteran player right there with Kutch when he got that second run. he was able to.
Yeah.
He was down 0-2 pretty quickly and was able to do something with it. You know what I mean?
And he also had JT back there bouncing around trying to stop things everywhere. The balls flying everywhere, wild pitches. Didn't cover home plate when he was supposed to in a moment in the game. Again, I'm not. Trust me, I'm not putting what happened yesterday on Johan Duran. I'm not doing that. Please don't make it sound like that. The offense was terrible.
Yeah, it was the offense. Waiting to the ninth inning doesn't help you. Let's hit a couple more of these comments. Here, Nooms is on Bohm today. As slow as Bohm is, he could have pushed a friggin' bunt to the right side. Yeah, I mean, that was one of my biggest takeaways. So here's the thing: is good or bad? Take it. Is it a good thing to see? You know, a team that's cold as ice. You know, going up to the ninth inning. Even Garcia, who got a little extra life from a botched pop up from first base to Berger, and we always say, like, it's not just let them commit an error and get a chance to make up for it. Let them commit an error and make them pay for it. And Garcia and the rest of the team were able to tie the game up, turn a really cold, quiet, slow, could have taken a nap for most of the game type game in there, and threw a ton of energy in there. But it didn't take a baseball genius, Matt, to know that they left right field wide open. They were playing him to pull, and they were throwing inside, and he didn't seem to get the memo, or is it just me?
Well, I mean, are we going to revisionist history with Bohm and with Harper, with all? I mean, I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, we've been watching it play out over the last 4 years now, or I guess 22, 23, 24, 25. Oh no, I'm sorry, last 5 years now. We've been watching it play out like this. The at-bats in general, like throughout the game, were very uninspiring at bats. Harper and Schwarber's at bats were terrible at bats. Turner striking out on 3 pitches in the 5th inning with the bases loaded, or whatever inning that was later in the game. These were terrible situational hitting at bats for everybody. I'm not going to put it on Bohm. Bohm is not a four-hole hitter, but he's batting 4th. You know, so I guess you're going to have to take the good with the bad there, or bad with the bad. I don't know what's good about him batting 4th. You got Stott batting 5th, but they pulled him for Sosa as in a pinch hitting role in extra innings or towards the end of the game, whatever. This lineup was what it is, and people are going to try to dissect the problems of this lineup, which there is a lot of them. But I don't know what that's going to do for us to get it better. Nothing's changing. Nothing's going to change about the way they hit. This is a home run or nothing type team, as much as we don't want it to be that way. I'm one of those people, but that's what they are. And they're going to win games that way, and they're going to lose games that way. And that's just the bottom line. Trying to get professional at bats from anybody in this lineup. I just think it's just unproductive to try to think that, but you're right. There was also an issue in this game with Turner. Again, I think it was Turner. You got a situation where you had runners on first. You could have pulled runners to make it 2nd and 3rd, but you got Turner up there swinging away. You could have put Harper in a situation where he got the single. You could have scored 2 runs instead of 1. Situational baseball. We don't play it. We don't incorporate it. Again, the chickens come home to roost at a certain point. Everyone's right, and you're right.
Whoa.
I don't know the answer.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It must be Sunday morning. It's early. I got a you're right. I don't know what to do with it. Guys, I'm about to shut the show down. I don't know where to go with this. But Amy Craig is asking, I don't think JT Realmuto can hit anymore. I think his hitting is at the end. He can't catch up.
Is he like 0 for 9? Is he like an O-burger right now?
Yeah. Not a great start.
Yeah.
But again, that's why I said when he came back, it was more for defense, keeping at the end of the order. I was okay with that, because if he does have some streaks of hitting, which I don't want to think he can't hit anymore. I don't subscribe when most people say that. Like, she's also saying Harper is showing signs of that too. I mean, he is definitely showing signs that he can't keep up with that violent swing he has. Like, that's
Harper's 1 for 9 to start the season.
Yeah, he is. He's 1 for 9. I mean, at least the one that he came in was the most clutch
hit. Yeah.
I mean, it's like he's teasing us. I'm not going to give you consistent hitting, but I'm going to give you the clutch hitting. Like, it's like, I don't know. Is that what would you prefer to have?
Oh, the clutch, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how I look at it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say that it's either one of them can't hit anymore. I feel like that's just a blanketed sweeping statement for guys who can. Like, let's be honest, they can. Now, would there be a change in pace, especially for Harper, with the way his violent swing is anymore? Is it time for him to start adjusting to that? Like, I need to be smarter or start my bat a half a second or tick earlier and stop trying to violently rip the leather off the front of the ball.
I mean, that should have started 3 years ago, honestly, because now old man time is going to catch up with him. And in Harper's credit, that single there late in the game, they sawed him off. He broke his bat. And that was strength right there that pushed that ball into the outfield, where he hit it on the bat and shattered the bat. So there's a plus to the violent swing right there, because I don't know, with a conservative controlled swing, that probably would have been a slow roller to second base. And then that's the end of the inning. So you got to maybe take the good with the bad a little bit with Harper. And again, that's exactly what it is. Harper is what Harper is. He could be so much more than what he is, but he's not. He is what he is, which is an elite baseball player. I've said this before. It's never been a question whether or not he's elite or not elite. It's always been about the clutch factor. But, 3 years ago is when he should have started kind of trying to learn the science of hitting. And I blame the coaches of today. I do. Kevin Long has never impressed me as a hitting coach. And hitting coaches at this level are a weird breed, because what are you going to teach a kid or a man that's playing in Major League Baseball about hitting? That one they're going to listen to. All right.
Well, here's the thing is, you're right on kind of a good player. Like Nick Castellanos kind of was one of the biggest, like, I ain't listening to anybody. I'm not changing anything. Yeah. There is guys who are going to be like that, but that's a problem, because if they're not going to change, it doesn't matter if it's Bryce. Like, for instance, Bryce and Trey, when Bryce was struggling or Trey was struggling? I forget, it was like a year or two ago. I think it was Bryce was struggling, and Trey went up to him and said, listen, I was looking at your video from when you were doing really well, and you were doing this differently, and he made a change and seemingly made improvements from that. So maybe it's different when it comes from a player that you're, a peer, I guess, in this sense. And I'm not skipping over everybody's messages, but I want to jump down to one that Joe Sullivan put in here. We're going to go back to the other ones. Is this true?
No.
Are we lacking power?
No, we have too much power. That sounds right. No, of course we're not. We have.
No, hold on. Do we think we have more power than we currently do because of kind of what Amy was talking about, or time is kind of father time always wins type situation in the long run? Schwarber, I don't think I'm worried about his power at this moment in time, but is Harper losing a little of his power, his juice? I mean, I'm okay if everybody else does. I really don't need Trey Turner ripping home runs all the time. I just need to keep the ball in play and be smarter about that kind of stuff. And I never understood that, because a lot of players have reinvented themselves later in their career by, not being that power hitter. But I learned how to drop down a drag bunt. I learned how to manufacture runs and move players over and not just put us in an automatic out situation. It seems like some of these guys need to start getting the memo, but again, it's too early to say. It's March. You got crazy cold, hot weather. This team isn't really adjusted to everything yet. I'm not making any sweeping judgments, but is there some things that some of these players who have still time on their contract and who are getting over the 30-year-old Mendoza line there, is it time for them to start adjusting their lives, their play habits a little bit?
To answer the simple question, yes. But the bigger question is, are they willing to accept that? We've seen it throughout the course of history of baseball. When power hitters lose it, it's not a gradual loss. It's a off the cliff type thing. Ryan Howard is a prime example of a power hitter that lost it very quickly. And that's, again, this infatuation with power hitters, this infatuation with home runs, this infatuation with the one trick pony baseball team has destroyed the sport. And we are starting to see the pendulum swing back a little bit now, where they're actually teaching these kids how to hit again. But it's going to take a long time to get it back to where it used to be. But I'm more see a professional hitter, a Tony Gwynn-esque, and I'm not trying to compare hitters to Tony Gwynn, and I'm not saying that Tony Gwynn type hitters come along at all, but
hitters,
yeah, but that the way he went about I think Tony Gwynn had maybe a career of 200 homers, and I'm probably giving that too much. The guy could just hit. That's what I want. I don't care about 56 home runs a year. I care about the ability to use all fields, the ability to be productive at bats, the ability to move runners along. I don't need the pomp and circumstances of home runs. I need runs, and I don't care how you generate them. And professional hitters, the Pete Roses of the world, the Paul Molitors of the world, the Robin Younts of the world, these guys knew how to hit. Power came through their hits, and they were able to get home runs. But I would much prefer a hitter than a power hitter. And if that makes any sense, what I'm trying to say here.
No, you want a guy who, because here's the thing is, the likeliness of getting a home run and just getting a hit are drastically different. And you can win that way. And I think the Dodgers proved that. Like, I know Ohtani and a couple other guys, they can get power and they can go on home run streaks, but they also can bludgeon you to death. Death of 1,000 cuts is the term I use. That's the kind of team I would prefer to have. An old school baseball mentality. It's kind of like the running back in the NFL, which seemed like it was going to the wayside, right? Like up until like the last few years, that the running back was becoming like an interchangeable, disposable player on the field. Like they weren't needed as much. Now it's like, that's changed. That's come around full circle, and I think baseball's going the same way. It was all or nothing. Power hitting, and that's what you needed. Power hitting and some pitching would get the job done. Right. I think it's the other way around. I think it's pitching definitely still there, but it's power hitting is just an additive, a cherry on top.
So I at the lower levels, like high school varsity, but I don't mean like, no offense to the Philadelphia area, I don't mean like Philadelphia high school varsity. I mean like down south high school varsity, where these kids are being bred to be Major League Baseball players. About 10, 15 years ago, I asked the coach, I said, what is your philosophy when it comes to hitting? And he's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, do you care about strikeouts? He's like, no. I'm like, really? He's like, I don't care if a kid strikes out. So what are you more concerned about? And he said these two words to me: launch angle and exit velocity. I was like, wow, that's what you're teaching these kids? Launch angle and exit velo.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes a long way to where we are right now as in
oversaturation of information when in all sports, where literally it's a split second between ball and bat. Yeah. When a pitcher leaves the hand, there's a time, especially the way guys throw nowadays. It's not like pitching was 40 years ago, right? Where getting 95 was like, oh, gas. You know what I mean? Like, no. If you don't throw 97, you're like barely even looked at by Major League Baseball.
97 with a little tail in the end. You can't be flat either. It's got to have some movement going on.
That's my point, is like, you would think that power hitting now has to go to the wayside because of that. Because now they're losing the sight of the ball for a split second.
Yeah.
The ball literally becomes invisible to the naked eye for a split second. And that split second is the biggest difference. I mean, a lot of swings a guessing game. It's how it leaves the hand, how it leaves it leaves the mound. There's so much science behind baseball, but I think when you oversaturate it with the exit velos and how do you sit there and know that I'm going to get it on this piece of the bat at the top fat end, the middle, like whatever, like I'm going to get off the piece of this bat so I can get this velo. Like, I think it's a problem. And I want to hit a couple more of these comments because somebody's bringing up some stuff, because since you're on the show with me, I really wanted to talk some Flyers this morning anyway. Mm-hmm. We're going to touch a little on the Eagles, but Flyers and Phillies, because of the most current going ons right now. Joe Sullivan says Nola is going 5-6, giving up about 3 is probably what we can expect from him. I would say 6, hopefully 2 to 3. Yeah, I don't think he's too off the beaten path.
Can I talk about Nola? I haven't had a chance to throw my Nola 2 cents into that for yesterday. Listen, yesterday sucked, but I ain't gonna lie. 30 home runs he gave up in 2024. He gave up 18 last year, but the 18 he gave up last year is tempered against the shortened season he had due to the injuries. He's up 2 home runs. 97 pitches in 5 innings. It sucked. All right. There is a positive here. I am going to give you a positive. The positive thing that I saw from Nola was when it began to melt down, and it did with the walks and the homers and people getting on base. The Nola of last year would have turtled up and it would have been a 7-8 run situation. He pulled himself out of it a bit. Granted, the Crawford catch was huge in stopping that bloodletting, but I actually took more positive from yesterday's performance from Nola than maybe a lot of people did. That he found a way to make pitches, to mitigate the damage. But God damn it, Al, can he not give up home runs? I mean, this guy.
No, I tweeted out during the WBC.
Terrible, man.
I was like, Italy, welcome to Aaron Nola. It's like I don't know if it's even a mental thing. Like, he has to do it. Like, I don't know if he would know what to do with himself. I didn't give a home run up this game. Like, it would be like, am I done? Like, I didn't throw a home run yet. I didn't get one of these poor. Like, it's like he's like Oprah of home runs. Like, you get a home run, and you get a home run. Everybody's gonna get a home run at once during the game with me. Like, I don't know if he know what to do with himself. Like, he'd be sitting up there late at night, just going, "Wait a minute, I didn't let one of those poor players on the other team get a home run."
And the breaking stuff. When Nola's stuff is breaking, it's unhittable. But it is such a crapshoot on whether that stuff's going to break down in a way or break right over the heart of the plate, which it was doing yesterday. And with his velocity being what's he topped out yesterday at 94 with the fastball, maybe 93 around there. He's going to have to figure out that breaking stuff. But when it's working, it works great. It's just not. It doesn't consistently work. And I don't want to hear you AccuWeather people out there. I heard Mike yesterday talking about he doesn't pitch well in the cold. Oh, get over it, man. He's going to have to figure out. He plays in Philadelphia. Listen, he doesn't play in Louisiana.
Yeah, it's true, but it is well known that in the warm versus cold weather, it's smarter for Topper to flip-flop. I know you want to have your guys start the season, but if you know it's going to be 72 degrees one day and it's going to be 42 degrees the next day, would it have been smarter to flip Nola?
No. I tell you what, it would have been smarter, yes. So from here on out, if Nola pitches a game when the temperature is less than 70 degrees, I'm paying him a quarter worth of his salary because you don't want to pitch in the warm weather, you don't want to pitch in cold weather. I'm not listening to that.
Yeah.
It was a nasty day yesterday. It was sunny, but very deceiving. All right, because
they had their little face coverings on. You knew that team was cold. Well, listen, that's what happens when spring training's in Florida all day. I mean, you're in Florida for the last 2 months, and you come up here to a 42-degree day. The blood, these other Florida blood coursing through their veins. I mean,
Garcia, I didn't see his face the whole game.
I could listen if they didn't have numbers and names on their jersey, I wouldn't be able to really distinguish the difference between one player and the other.
But Nola, listen, I mean, 90 some pitches in 5 innings. You're never going to sell me on that being a productive start. But the other side of that was he found his way to get out of some situations. He was striking people out. So I'm encouraged slightly by Nola's performance. He only gave up 3 runs. The offense let him down. Zach Wheeler, the story of the day.
Ask the question does that affect? I mean, it does affect a pitcher. And I do have the Zach Wheeler information for you, so I want to get into that in a second. But it does. It's bad enough when you get as a pitcher a little off track, because that's what happens with Nola. He just gets a little off track, and it takes him an inning or a few batters to course correct, and usually he's pretty good after that for the most part. But when your team is struggling and you're now all 6 innings you've pitched, 5 or 6 innings that you've pitched, you can't get a run across the plate. You can't get a hit bare minimum. I mean, you weren't getting many hits to begin with. Does that play a factor on how Nola pitches yesterday?
I mean, I can't answer him, but I know if it was me, it would. I'd be like, really? 1 hit, 9 innings? Are you kidding me? One freaking hit?
When you're striving for perfection, it's bad enough when you have, listen, you always see a pitcher like how they're throwing much more easily. Seems a little more fluid when the hits are plenty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big difference. Joe talked about the same thing we talked about earlier. We were a little behind on the comments. I want to catch up here so we can catch up with the commenters. But it's a little early to jump on them. But Duran, it's kind of something we've talked about, like last few innings last year and into this year, hasn't been as, call it clutch or as automatic as we feel. Rob was agreeing with you, Matty B, on one of the many things that we've talked about already. Duran was in a mid division, and people ignored it. I like a slower splitter that he has, and hope he will make a difference. Now, I know you talked about Kevin Long, but Caleb Kaufman, I always say it wrong. I mean, do you think he doesn't get enough love for the work that he does? I mean, now I know we have a great pitching staff, but he always, I mean, how many times do we go in the season where the bullpen was going to be really bad and it's turned around and things like that? And does he not get enough love for the work that he does?
No, and it's a shame because if it hadn't been for the pitching over the last 4 years, this team never would have sniffed the postseason. And the pitching has carried this team year after year after year. Now he's got his work cut out this year with Painter. We're going to see if he can develop Painter into a full every fifth day guy in the major league. So no, I don't think he does get enough love. But that's, I mean, inside the circle of MLB, I'm sure they're very well aware what kind of a starting or kind of a pitching coach he is, and that's going to help him keep employment going. But no, I don't think he does get enough love. And it's funny, as you mentioned, as I just said, I don't give much credence to hitting coaches at the major league level. Now, what I also have seen is Don Mattingly taking more of an active role in the hitting department with the team, and maybe that will help them. And to what Nick Castellanos said about one of his problems with Rob Thompson was that I didn't like him because he wasn't ever a major league baseball player. Maybe they'll listen to Mattingly more than they do K-Long, or maybe they'll listen to, I don't know. Maybe this is Don Mattingly, a fringe Hall of Famer who did it for many years on some bad Yankee teams. Maybe he knows what he's talking about when it comes to hitting, and maybe that helps this. But pitching-wise, no, I don't think he gets enough love.
Here's my thing with that is I agree to that to a point, but how many coaches have we seen be successful?
Oh, no, I agree. But I'm just saying the player mentality of today, it's weird.
Or is that kind of like, is that a kind of excuse that we will make for the Rob Thompson people? I mean, listen, I usually defend Rob Thompson because he's successful in some ways, but then really, irksome in other ways, if I'm trying to find a good word for it. And I always especially talk about the postseason where he just turns everything up on its head. That's just that will never sit well with me. And I literally thought after the exit last year that he was done. Like after the Dodgers exit, that was it for Rob Thompson. And I was okay with moving on. Like, even though I kind of talked about like kind of being like Andy Reid a little bit. Andy Reid had success, kind of got close to the promised land, but never over the hump, and then was always chasing that promised land, but never able to get really back to it. And it was just time for him to move on. It was both for both sides, for the Eagles and for Andy Reid, right? I kind of felt that was what happened with Rob Thompson last season, at the end of last season, at the end of the Dodgers series. Wow. And
you're kind. I thought it was time to move on after the Diamondbacks series in 23.
Yeah, well, you were listen, don't work for Matty B.
No, man, no, come on. You choke away a 3-2 lead in the NLCS with 2 home games remaining. Come on, Al. What are you talking about?
No, I'm not disagreeing with you, but let me ask you a question about that one. Just not to argue the facts on that one, but who do you blame more on that? Because I kind of blame the players more on that one. I mean, you were doing the 23? Same line. Everything was the same moving forward when you beat the Braves the first couple games against Arizona, and then they didn't adjust. But now, was it his fault for not telling them adjust or them not listening to him? Whatever semantics you want to break down. 2023, I put more on the players.
I don't. Craig Kimbrell had no business coming in back-to-back games. He had no business. It didn't work at all during the season, and he tried it in the NLCS, and it blew up in his face.
That I'll agree with. I think he was just hoping for a little post-season magic from a guy who squandered it all over the last 47 years prior. Laugh out loud. Have we ever seen Turner bunt?
And that's the point. You're right. I don't know if he can bunt, and that's pathetic. That's pathetic. Asking someone to bunt is not derogatory. Harper could be in a situation where he has to bunt. Schwarber should have to know how to bunt. They all should know how to bunt. I think
we've seen actually Bryce Harper throw a bunt down since Turner's been here. I think he did.
I've never seen a bunt in my life.
It just failed miserably, if I remember correctly.
But I get Elephant's point. It might be laughable to watch him bunt. That's a problem if that is, because they all should know how to bunt. This team is so bad when it comes to the small ball versus big ball type concept, and There's nothing wrong with. As a matter of fact, it would probably shock the hell out of somebody to watch Harper lay down a bunt. He'd probably get advanced to first. He'd probably be safe.
See,
again,
yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating that Elephant, his comment is spot on. Mm-hmm. No, I have never seen Turner bunt. You're right. That's a problem, though.
Yeah. No, it is. I'd be concerned. Nooms has been concerned with the team's age since 2024. That was actually one of the biggest things with the Kyle Schwarber signing. Like, that was actually my biggest problem with Kyle. Like I said, Kyle's like one of those ways that if we lost him, I would be a little burnt. But if we did lose him, I will also understood the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to make up that production. But I agree with you on the Pete Alonso thing. I always just worried about Pete Alonso in some ways, but for overall, like, his production value has been about the same as Schwarber's, close to it at least. But he was also a lot younger, and like you said, the flexibility of the DH.
Absolutely, it unclogs that spot, man. It unclogs the DH position.
Now, after this year, you got 4 years more of him. 5 more years of Harper, 5 more years of Trey Turner, or something like that. That it has been a concern. The whole team will get better. Rob, I agree with you. The team will get better. And listen, how many times have I talked about, like, you lose the crap, like, you get smoked in game 1 of a series, but then you win the next 2 games and you win the series. And we always say it's about winning the series. And that was what 162 games and especially in Philly, is what makes baseball interesting. Yeah. Amy says the Sixers are a top team when everyone is playing. Hey, Amy, I
refuse to talk about the Sixers. I ain't talking about that.
The only thing I'll say is, you know what? I actually would be in great health, must have abs and muscles galore if I ate better, exercised more. But I think that's more likely to happen than everyone in the play or the Sixers playing at the same time.
Yeah, Sixers are not. I ain't drinking that I ain't drinking that anymore. The Sixers need no. First of all, the NBA in the whole sucks. I can't. It's unwatchable to me. The NBA.
Yeah, the NBA product, and it's been showing in their numbers, not just in Philly and all that stuff. The overall NBA product is horrible to watch. I would prefer to watch March Madness over any NBA team.
No, absolutely.
Guys who actually want to play, it means something to them, not just because they got their contracts now. They're superstars. Mm-hmm. They don't have to worry about it. Maddie needs Willie McGee and the running Redbirds. That's a sad thing that we actually have the speed to do it. We do have a lot of speed on that base path.
We do.
It is underutilized. I agree with that, Nooms. We've talked about that before. Amy, we are going to talk about the Flyers in a moment because I want to talk about Zach Wheeler for a second. That's why I'm wearing my Iron Pigs this morning to kind of like.
You're not wearing that jersey from yesterday? Did you see that thing?
Oh my God! With a giant, it looks like a tattoo somebody got on their back when they were doing it. It was like a giant eagle. It was like supposed to be, I guess, for the
the front was nice, but what the hell's going on in the back of that jersey?
Dude,
man?
I told you. That's what makes minor league baseball so much. Like, I would probably spend more money in a minor league baseball store than I would spend in a major league baseball store because of all the different nuances they have. But that one would be. That's like if it was $20, I'd buy it as a joke gift for my kid.
Man,
look at the stats of the 85 cards. Almost everyone walked more than they K'd, just about. Yeah, no,
they won a World Series.
But that's baseball. It is now. I mean, and I know you said.
Oh, actually, no, they lost the World Series in '85. Lost to the Royals.
But my point is, it feels like it's going back that way, and a lot of teams are not picking up on that. They almost blew chunks last night. We are going to talk about that in a second. Good morning to Washington. What's going on, Mickey? Nola has a typical cold weather game. Can't nibble like he used to. My faith in Nola is waning slowly. I think a lot of people's faith has, but I think what somebody said earlier, I think it was, I forget what it was, but they said he is a 3-4 guy, 4-5 guy. I think more 3-4 guy than a 4-5 guy, but
he's not being paid that way.
Not being paid like that, but it is what it is. Phillies need to get more hits than home runs. Oh yeah, I mean that's how it works. Nola was 89 to 91 yesterday.
Oh, so I gave him 94, and he was up to 91. That was the max of his fastball. 91.
According to Rob Thompson, he was 94-ish. So I think it was 93.5. So I think Nooms was missing a couple of pitches there, but consistently I maybe was more 91. Nola just isn't worth the pay relative. Yeah, because that's another contract I keep forgetting to mention. I mean, we talk about Harper and Trey and Schwarber now. I mean, you have the Aaron Nola contract. Well, we got another 3 years after this year, so he's like 3 years. Yeah, Tobias Harris playing. I mean, he is Tobias Harris. I mean, he will give you enough to make you go, okay, he's good, but not enough for you to go worth the pay.
Just always not Ben Simmons. That's all I care.
Yeah, I'll shut him out. Paul Skeens gets no run support and wins Cy Youngs, but Nola can't pitch and cold and the offense doesn't show up of excuses. I don't think we're making excuses for him. It's just
I'm not making excuses for Nola yesterday. I said,
the numbers are showing what it is more, Mike, than I'm agreeing, not disagreeing with you. I don't like the excuses. The run support for Harper, or not the run support, the behind him support,
protection.
For protection. I don't subscribe to that either. A lot of people talk about.
No, I don't either. But no, as far as again what I said about Nola, there were a lot of Nola-isms happening yesterday. There was the home runs. It was the breaking ball that was breaking right across the middle of the plate. The lower velocity on the fastball, but and then the labored pitching, 90-some pitches through 5 innings. Good Lord! But the one positive I saw that Nola did not unravel. He did not completely come apart like he did last year. He pulled it in and he got through what he had to get through, and he put the team, or he left the team in a position to come back later in the game, which they ended up doing. But so I'm pulling a positive out of something here, and by no stretch of the word am I patting Aaron Nola on the back. He looked uncomfortable on the mound yesterday. The blowing on the hands, the licking. He was fidgeting around and maybe that might have been the weather. But he didn't look like he was settled into any sort of groove. But with all that being said, he still found a way to make a pitch when he needed to keep the game within reach. And that's
the other thing. I guess he wasn't shelled 10-0. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't anything like that. And I think that's kind of lost, because I think we expect with this rotation 1 or less runs scored every game from our starters and all that kind of stuff, and what he gets paid isn't always corresponding to the way he pitched. But Nola is a good pitcher. He can be frustrating at times because does weather make a difference and all that kind of stuff. I get it, but he's still a good pitcher, and I look more at the positives and the negatives at this point in the season anyway. Pulling like the positive that they were able to come, like they could have just, so they were so cold they can be like, let's just get this game over with and take the L and walk away. So I take that as that more. I look at that more than I look at the other way around, but it is kind of reminiscent of a lot of the same problems we had. And he's still on the Sixers. The Sixers can have a long player run if they run out of, if they can get out of the play-in round, ifs and nuts, candies and butts and all that stuff. If and buts and candies and nuts. But they have good teams when everyone is playing. I get that, but they've had better teams now. They didn't have Tyrese Maxey at the helm, but they have had better teams, and they've got they didn't need a play-in round, and they couldn't get out of the second round. So, Amy, I will agree to disagree until I see otherwise. Hey, if they somehow walk down Broad Street this year, Amy, I'll send you a fruit basket. You send me your address when it happens, and I'll send you a fruit basket, because that'd be amazing. That's how much I would.
And we'll never get Daryl Morey out of here if they do that. He's here forever, and I'm not prepared for that. So let's go out in that first round like we're supposed to, and move on with our lives.
Keep up with the Sixers Joneses.
Yeah, I do not want the other side of that.
There's no comparison between Andy and Robbie, as one has a brain and made an actual move during the game with analytics. Again, I'm not talking about their in-team situation, but you're kind of putting this under a microscope. I'm talking about a guy who had success, but it kept kind of tripping at the finish line, and then got to the World Series, Super Bowl, but then always seemed like they were chasing it, but seemed like they kept getting further and further away. That's my point. Again, I always say, like, Rob Thompson is frustrating. I will not disagree with anybody in that way whatsoever. My point to that is sorry, bud, but
no, go ahead. No, I keep on stepping on you.
Is he does have success at times, but then when he completely flips the script in the playoffs for whatever god-awful reason, that's my biggest frustration with him. In-game management, for the most part, he has frustrating moments. I disagree with, I wouldn't say half the time, but sometimes he really leave some head scratchers. But overall, in the regular season, he wins titles, he gets you there. It's just like, why do we change everything up? When it comes into the postseason, it's like we've created this delicious sandwich and it's selling like hotcakes. And then you know what? We're just going to change it up. Yeah. Why? Why change it up?
And that's the biggest question with Rob. And the other thing with Rob, I don't know the relationship between Rob Thompson and Dave Dombrowski in terms of roster construction. I don't know how much input he might have. Don't forget, Andy was the man. He was building these teams himself, and it was his vision. So I don't know how much roster construction input Robbie Thompson has with Dombrowski. And one of the things, though, Mike's correct. The Phillies have absolutely no. It seems like they don't have. It's become almost. You can see it before it happens. You can sit there and I've said this before. You can predict the Phillies game just by seeing the score. I've gotten really good at this. I can sit here for the most part and say, "Oh, they lost 8-3." Well, let me tell you how that happened. And I didn't see part of the game, and I could probably pretty much get you about 90% solution of how they got to 8-3, and that's become a problem.
Lineup did most of the scoring.
Yes, we got a home run here from Schwarber, and maybe we got up to the 1-0 lead. That's the problem I think that everyone's starting to have with this team.
On a home run when they're already down 8 in the 9th inning.
Yeah, the predictability of this team is what the issue I think a lot of people are having, and the lack of any sort of creative in-game. I'll give you that in-game type of switch, and not. To me, an in-game creative switch is not pinch hitting Edmundo Sosa for Bryson Stott in the 5-hole. That's not creative. That's desperation. And I'm playing lefty righty and all this nonsense. Why the hell Crawford was pulled out of yesterday's game? I don't understand. If you want this kid to learn how to handle big time, big league moments, shouldn't you leave him in a big time, big league moment to make a decision?
That was the perfect timing to allow him to try to see what he can do.
Exactly.
When the cold weather's cold but the pressure is hot, you know what I mean? Like that would have been the best time to find out, because if you lost the game, which you did anyway, it's 1-1. It's
right.
There's 160 more games to come,
and he needs to learn
in a longer, July and August when you need him and you can't do it, and then you're gonna wonder why he buckles under pressure a little bit. Like I was really head scratching. The Mundo Sosa one for Stott, whatever. They're going to be platooning those two for whatever reason.
Yeah, but Kent for Crawford, I don't understand what the situation there was, why they did that.
What happened is what he wanted. Otto Kemp is one of the most widely hit players in baseball.
Yeah, right on the elbow, man. That must have hurt.
Yeah, he's probably like, just get him on base, just lean into it, like the old Chase Utley, like just lean into it, buddy.
Well, Crawford could have done that. I mean, listen, but you're right. It's a situation. It's a teaching moment for Crawford in that position, in that type of game. See what he can do. What are you doing, man? I don't understand that.
Al is talking about early AR and current toppers in the building to address real-time blind spots. Oh, geez. The Sixers stink. Yeah, Rob. I mean, and that's it. So, guys, we're about 40, almost 50 minutes into this show, and I spent more time on this one show than I spent watching the Sixers this season. I tried. But I kept seeing the same thing that other people didn't want to see. And there's been quick Sixers note. There's been some positives with the youth, with Max and all that stuff. But then the glaring problems start to show, and then when what's his face PG got suspended and all that, I was out on it. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not subscribing to this. I'm not getting any hopes up on anything. We are going to talk Flyers in a second. So Amy, I'm going to come back to your comment, but real quick for those Matty B talked about, we're going to jump on it for a second. I don't know if you saw these plushies that they were selling at the Iron Pigs game yesterday. It looks like a chocolate bar with a bullet wound to the face, but it is actually a rib? It's a barbecue rib.
That's what
I don't know what they were. I'm going to buy one, by the way. I'm going online when this is done. I'm going to buy one. I need to add this to my collection.
Yeah, you're right. It does look like it got shot to the head, doesn't it? I mean, I understand what the intent here was, but it failed.
It looks like a Hershey's bar. Like if you ever went to Hershey Park, and they have the mascot, the Hershey chocolate bar. It looks like him with a bullet wound to the left part of the face. But whatever.
Will those be will those be making an appearance at a boardwalk game booth in Wildwood sometime at some point this summer?
But I do want one. I hope they sell online because I do want one because it's like one of those things that's it's funny, but like so here's the guy. So for those that didn't know, Zach Wheeler had a rehab start yesterday with the Iron Pigs. He went 3 scoreless innings, allowing 2 hits, 1 walk, while striking out 3 players. He used 38 pitches, 26 were for strikes, and induced 7 swings and misses. So, well, now granted it's minor leagues, but giving you a little hope that Zach Wheeler is to Zach Wheeler form. His 4-seam fastball averaged around 93.3 miles per hour and peaked at 94.3 miles per hour, which was consistent with his typical early spring training form.
Mm-hmm.
And he utilized a full repertoire. That's his curveball was notably sharp and accounting for 3 of his first inning strikeouts. So, I don't think he was good. I don't think the problem was he going to be able to do it. The problem was he physically going to be able to do it. So obviously, physically, he's doing a lot better. So as we all told you that it was rehab rib night. So they did a $10 all-you-can-eat rib night for a couple hours. It wasn't the whole game. It was like a couple hours like leading into the game, which pretty cool. But during the game, they were poking fun at the fact that Wheeler had his rib removed, of course, which he keeps in his closet, might I add, which is funny with his next comment coming up. Wheeler joked that the promotion was a little quote-unquote aggressive. It made his bone hurt a little bit, which, phrasing, but whatever. But he took it in stride. He keeps his bone in the closet. Maybe he's afraid someone's going to steal the DNA from him and try to clone Zach Wheeler. Which
maybe it's next to Bryce Harper's blood machine.
Yeah, right.
Jesus.
But that's why I love minor league baseball. It's fun to watch because these guys are playing for something, but it's also fun to watch because, like I told you, the Iron Pigs could be the Iron Pigs, and the next week they could be what's their other alternative?
Bacon City, USA.
But they also have other stuff that's like nothing to do with it. First part, I think the ones who do the best are the Blue Claws.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they have like 4 alternative mascots or whatever the hell you want to call
the Tomatoes is one, right?
The Tomatoes is the Jersey Tomatoes is the new one. I'm trying to remember. So the Blue Claws, one of my favorite hats that I'm going to actually be purchasing is it looks like the Liberty Bell, but it's a shovel on a stick with the bucket hanging from it. So it looks like a Liberty Bell, but it looks like a beach bucket and shovel.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I'm actually going to try to pull it up, but what are your takeaways from the Zach Wheeler momentum?
So I don't know about you guys. Does Zach Wheeler look a little underweight?
Well,
did he look a little thin to you?
I don't know if it's just the jersey they gave him was just so baggy.
He just looked thinner, like skinny. And for obvious reasons, what he's been through over the last 7 months. But, I think he's going to have to put that game day weight back on. But for durability purposes. But no, I thought for his second rehab start, because he did a simulated game on Monday down in Clearwater. For his second rehab, I thought he looked pretty good. They're going to, I believe he's going Friday next week against Charlotte in Durham and Charlotte for the Pigs. And then I think one more rehab start with Reading after that. Then he'll probably go from there. But for that second rehab start, live pitching, live hitting, I thought it looked very good. I'm taking this thing in strides, but he did look a little frail to me in terms of underweight and a little skinny. But no, I was very impressed. And then don't forget, Ryan Kirkering pitched right after him for an inning, scoreless, hitless inning. So that's another good sign. But yeah, no, I was. It's good to see him back up on the mound in April or March. Sorry, and it gives everybody optimism about his return. So yeah, I mean, it was a very good start.
So to answer the question from earlier, so they have the Blue Claws, which is, of course, they have the Beach Badgers, but they look like, because the beach badges that they wear in Jersey, you have to get on the beach with, but they look like Badgers. That's the other one.
They still do that? They make you pay to get on beaches?
Parts of it. They're actually doing a promotion. It's funny. The Jersey Shore Blue Claws they're giving out a 25th anniversary of the Blue Claws beach badge. It says it gets you on New Jersey badges or New Jersey beaches, maybe, but don't take our word for it. Like it's like just a promotional thing, but they're telling you it'll get you on the beach. But yeah, so it's the Blue Claws, it's the Badgers, it's the Jersey Tomatoes. Looks like the top three ones that I'm seeing at this point.
But as far as the Iron Pig jerseys went yesterday, the front was hot, but there's something happened in the back of that jersey. Somebody went completely off the rails. You could have went in so many I don't know the word. I don't want to offend anybody, but you could have gone so many different directions with the back of that jersey. But a full back tattoo of an eagle with his wings spread would have not have been one of mine. If I could get a jersey with a clean back, which is that blue on the back, I'd buy that jersey. But that back was hideous, man. Absolutely hideous.
Oh, and don't forget the Copa Medusas, which was like looks like the octopus. It looks like the octopus in the bowl, and it has the point in the barrier. That's the other one. They have quite a few. So I just wanted to point that. I know we got off on a tangent, but overall, Zach Wheeler looking good. I know Kirkering did a post game. I think who's the guy who covers him all the time? Did a really good job. I forget his name. He said he felt good. Depends on what they feel if he's ready or not. Like it's all about not just being ready for the season, but being ready for the long portion of the season, not just jumping back into it. I agree with that.
I told you this the other night when we did the post game. I'm not in no hurry to get him back. If I don't see him till the All-Star break, so be it. And if the starting rotation is pulling their own, so be it. I'd rather have a fresh rounding in the form Wheeler coming down the stretch of the season than anything else.
Mm-hmm. No, Nooms. I've upset Nooms. He's mad that I'm not seeing them coming together. Nooms. I'm not saying that they're not melding a little bit, but I'm also not buying into it. You know what I mean?
Are they going to win the championship? Are they good enough to beat OKC in a 7-game series? No. Moving on.
Yeah, right. It's and they haven't earned that now. You need to earn that. Maybe do really good this year, make the right changes next year, and then you'll get me back in. Yeah. I have given up way too much time to the Sixers, and have not just given up time. Like you can say the same thing about the Phillies. You can say a lot of things about like our teams through the years. And might I add, can I just point some out? So I don't know if you've seen the new social media trend, Matty D. What was life like in the 90s? It's like a person would say, my kid asked me what it was like growing up in the 90s, and they would show all their favorite 90s things like TV shows. And
okay. No, I haven't seen that.
So that's like a new trend now. So the Eagles did it. And I just saw it on their social media. I think it was yesterday they put it out. What was it like in the 90s for the Eagles? I'm like, don't show them that. It wasn't much success, and we had to live through like only winning against Dallas. I'm like, that's the last thing I want to show any. You want to know why we're so hardened and angry all the time? Here, the Eagles in the 90s, like, you know what I mean?
Well, no, I'm taking a complete counter opinion on this. We're not hardened and angry. That's the problem with this fan base. We're soft, and we're privileged. We're soft. We're no. I understand us, but the majority, we're no longer the majority of the fan base. Our age group is not the majority anymore. We're the minority. And this group needs to know how bad it was. Totally disagree with you there. They are privileged. They are snobby. They are little whiny brats about the way this football team is. They need to know there was a different side to this. So, no, I disagree 100% with you on that
one. Yes, Willer's thinner. You can give him those precious centimeters of space around the rib cage.
No, I'm seriously. He looks thinner to me. He looks like down like 10 pounds.
Well, he hasn't been working out as much, so maybe he is a little muscle tone, like not muscle tone, but like just muscle, and he can get it back. But he's the kind of guy that needs to probably eat 12,000 calories a day. When I look at a sandwich and gain 5 pounds, you know what I mean?
He's burning all the calories that he's burning everything off.
Yeah. Listen too much that stifle, dude. No, man, the Sixers lost me. I mean, and it's not just that; it's the Sixers organization. When they keep shoving things down your throat, like it's been mishandled from top to bottom. Like that's the problem with the Sixers. It's not just the Sixers. You know what? I've never felt bad for a player on my team. Take Tyrese Maxey, for instance. I've never felt so bad for my player being stuck on my team. I would take any of my teams to have a good player or a great player or an all-star superstar player. I've never actually sat there and felt bad for a guy being stuck on my team, and that's how I feel about Tyrese Maxey. But you know what? We're going to move on for a minute because we need to talk. It's already an hour into the show. We even haven't touched on the other part. Maddie, there was a hattie last night. Yeah, I rhymed him out. Yeah. There was a hat trick yet last night. The 4-0 at one point for the Flyers. The Red Wings made it interesting. Ultimately ended in 5-3 with the empty netter from Coots. The Flyers have some life. Am I right to be excited for them?
No.
Not be excited for the Sixers.
No. So apples and oranges. I mean, Noom's one of the last Sixers point. This is the most Sixers I've talked in like 3 years. But we're supposed to give a team a lot of pass and a lot of leeway that's never gotten out of the second round of the playoffs in their current era of play. And then they're, I'm not. To me, it's just ridiculous to even talk about the Sixers. But as far as the Flyers question, should you be excited about the playoffs or excited about the Flyers? Or what are you asking? Because there's two different questions.
I guess you can answer both. Excited about them possibly. Do you think they can make the playoffs and they're making it exciting for down the line? And then is there excitement like Amy's talking about for the coming year? Because I feel like we get – the one thing I could say where the Flyers are frustrated for the last 3 years, they always seem like they're moving closer and closer, but we've had a kind of the same situation. Either they start hot and then they end cold, or they start cold, get hot, get cold again, or just too little, not enough to make it to the playoffs. They're knocking at the door, but they're also running out of time. It is literally a sprint, and the problem with their situation is there is no room for a mistake.
Yeah, okay. So as far as the playoffs question goes, no, don't be excited about the playoffs because I don't think they're going to get there. As you mentioned, there's just not enough. I don't think there's enough time. They got a big game tonight, a huge game against Dallas, and they got to get points out of this game. You can't take a game off here. You got to get points, and don't forget they put themselves in this situation. They were having a very above average type season. January was a disaster, and they put them in this position to be where they're at. Playoffs, yeah, I'm not going to. To me, that the playoff, it's like talking about the Sixers, in my opinion. The Flyers make the playoffs, great. They're not going to survive the first round, and even if they survive the first round, they're not going to survive the second round. Even if they survive the second round, they're not going to achieve the ultimate goal, which is to win a Stanley Cup, and that's what we're working towards. But to answer your question, should you be excited about this team? That's a little bit different answer. I think that there's two things that's going on with the Flyers right now that should be a cause for excitement. And that is you're starting to see finally, after a very long period of time, players start to round into what they could potentially be. Tippett last night was, playing like the player that we all thought he could be, but playing with that chaos, but it was bottled up a bit where he could control it. He wasn't shooting 40 feet wide. He was using that play with my hair on fire mentality, but it was controlled. He was working it to his advantage, and you could see if he can continue that guy's a 40 goal scorer, easy in this league. So that's something to be excited about. The play of some of the younger players. Denver Barkey does not get, I don't think, nearly enough credit for what his input of last night's game was. He was instrumental in 2 of the Flyer goals last night, and he's a young player that they brought here for speed and puck handling ability. Flyers are a terrible neutral ice hockey team, but they made some really good plays last night in the neutral ice by Denver Barkey. So, the rounding of form in some of these young players and the Zegras influence and what have you, there is something there to be excited about. What's missing for me is what's been missing for years. We need a franchise player. We need someone. We need that centerman. We need that guy. We need that guy on the blue line. We eventually need that guy in between the pipes to make a serious run at this. Is there excitement? Yes, about this team going forward. Porter Martone's a great story that, their season's Michigan State's done. There's a good chance, hopefully, he'll be a Flyer by some point at the end of the week and in the games by the end of the week as his college time hopefully is done. They don't send his ass back for another year, which if they do, I'm going to blow up the arena. But there is some excitement coming down the pipe.
He bleeped himself out because we might get in trouble for using terms like that or unalive.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a joke. I am not going to do that, but there is some excitement to be had. Danny Briere has to have an ultra aggressive summer in order for me to really believe that this team has a chance to win a cup. $42 million of cap, one of the highest cap space available in the league going into the summer. Problem is, there's nobody really out there free agency that fits the Flyers timeline as it pertains. Not Bernard, but Eichel.
We're losing you for a second, Matty.
What?
Hold on, you're kind of glitching in and out. I think you might be okay now. Go ahead.
All right. So there's a lot of cap room, but there's not much cap room to spend it on. Mm-hmm. We need the trade. We need the John LeClair trade. We need that trade to really jumpstart this team. And
you want to sell some prospects. You want to get some guy. You want to bring in the next. You want to bring in a superstar. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, not maybe a superstar, but a superstar or like a Robin to a Batman type player, a John LeClair-ish type trade. And that might mean saying goodbye to Travis Konechny. That might mean saying goodbye to potentially Matvei Michkov. That trade needs to happen in order for this team to really take that next step to building towards a cup. But yes, excited.
Who are you willing to trade? Are you over Michkov in this?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm over Michkov.
Listen, I think it's way too early to make that decision.
I did 100% disagree. 100% disagree.
Why? What makes you believe it's time? What would you accept for a trade for him? Would you expect a really, not king's ransom, but a really big boatload of trade pieces for one guy, or do you think he's just a key piece in an ultimate bargain?
Honestly, his worth in the NHL right now probably would be nothing more to a high-level AHL player and maybe a third liner from your team. I don't think the NHL looks at Michkov with any type of reverence the way we are. I understand people's, we got to be patient with these prospects. Sergei Bobrovsky is a perfect example of that. Apples and oranges. There's a character problem with Matvei Michkov. People don't see it. You really need to go back and look at his time in the KHL. He's got character issues. He's got.
I know a lot of superstar players who play well who had character issues, but keep going. Go ahead.
He's got entitlement situation problems. He doesn't want to listen because he feels he's the greatest. And the NHL is not the KHL. The NHL is the best hockey league in the world, and it's so different from any other league. It's a character problem with Michkov. Is he going to score 25 goals, 30 goals a season? Yeah, probably. But is he going to be what we want him to be? No. He's not going to be what we want him to be. He's not going to be the next face of this franchise for a lot of different reasons. And right now you have
21 years old.
Actually 20.
He's 20.
He won't even be 20 till next fall. He's young.
Okay. And that's kind of my point. Like, you have time for him to develop. And I'm not talking from a skills aspect. I'm talking from a personality as a human being. Like, there has to be I think we forget with hockey a little bit, for a lot of times. Baseball a little bit has it too, that there's a huge culture change, a huge, he's coming from Russia to America, which is a huge shock to the system. He's with nobody he knows, family.
Come on.
Listen to me. I knew you were going to get
Where is it? Where the hell is it? I got to pull it up now. You're making me do it, man. You're making me do it. I can't.
Put a human factor into a 19-year-old kid who is transitioning from one country to another, not just a state, not just across the country, who does have obviously some personality defects at a very young age. But if you met 19-year-old Al, you would think he's a cocky son of a bitch too. I mean, that's just the way you have to put it. That's my point. Is I just feel like it's a little too early to be willing to and to give up on him for peanuts on top of it. I think that all the time that you've invested in him, the draft capital you invested in him, it's not worth it right now. Give it, if in a year or two he's still the same type of player and they're having any personality and it doesn't look like there's any change, he's still only 21 years old, right?
I said character, not personality. There's a difference. No, there's a difference to that.
There is. You're right. I'm not. I meant character. I got you.
Now, Rick Tocchet, okay? First of all, I don't know if you've ever been in a professional hockey locker room. It's like a friggin' sacred stomping ground. It is its own little subculture, its own little world. They keep everything inside the house. That's the culture of the game. Rick Tocchet is sitting there at the Flyers Wives Fight for Lives Carnival saying Mitchkov can't even stay on the ice for 30 seconds before he needs a line change. That's uber frustration boiling over to the point where you did an absolute taboo thing to bring anything out of that locker room. That speaks volumes to me. That speaks volumes of the level of frustration that they're having with dealing with this kid and his ability and whatever they're trying to coach him to do. That's somebody I don't want on my team. All right. And he doesn't have the McDavid, doesn't have the Crosby, he doesn't have the Kane, he doesn't have that resume to back up that behavior after 1 year in a league. I get what you're saying about the capital. They spent a lot of capital, and this would be the second mismanaged first-round draft pick of Danny Breuer's tenure here if they have to move off of him. But I'm looking at long-term with this hockey team. The guy went off the ice in April last year and didn't step back on the ice until September. That is, I don't know who you think you are that you've earned that right to do at the NHL level. That's an issue. That's a bigger issue than I think a lot of people are giving it credence to. And for Tocchet to start yapping to the media about what do you want me to do? I can't leave him on the ice for 30 seconds and he's got to come off. That to me speaks volume of the problem with Matthew Mitchkov.
Okay. I don't disagree with you that there's a problem. Now, when was the Flyers Wives Carnival? That was during
right
the break?
Before the Olympics. Right before the Olympics.
And when he came out of the Olympics, I feel like there was some sort of improvement. It didn't last forever. I mean, maybe that was kind of I don't know, kind of a kick in the tail that he needed. Sometimes guys put things out there to, and we saw it a lot with prior coaches, the more aggressive coaches. I know Rick Tocchet isn't really, that kind of a Torts kind of guy
but Rick Tocchet's old school. He's an old school hockey player.
Yeah, but he's not the kind of coach like Tocchet.
He's a player's coach.
Lane Vigneault was like, they would just throw you under the bus. There's kind of like two extremes to the situation. But my point is, I think at 19 years old, it's really, and he definitely has character flaws. And I'm not saying that you don't look past them and let him get away with it, but if you talk to him and try to get it, I think you have time to try to see if you can fix it and rectify it before it becomes too bad. Because if his value is where you're saying it is now and it doesn't get any better, I don't think it drops off anymore. It's not like you're going to get nothing for him at one point if he's still young.
Now you package him like with the Konechny, you might be able to get a haul. You might be able to get a haul back.
If you get that, then maybe. I mean, is there another problem we're seeing here with the Flyers? That'd be another top prospect that just didn't work out. One guy forced his way out of here. The other guy just thinks he's too cool for school. Like is there a situation?
Well, Porter Martone, we'll see how that works out. We'll go from there.
Right? But that's two big problems. I mean, we all boo him when he comes back in the building, but
he's a 40-goal scorer. Cutter Gauthier is the real deal. I mean, we screwed that up. Somebody messed that up. Somebody messed it up bad. And I don't know the story. I think it's bottom line. He didn't want to go back to Boston College for a year or two, and they said you're going back because we're not going to.
They want that year of eligibility.
Yeah, we want to save a year on your ELC, and he's like, no, I don't want to. And that's where I think it began. Now, granted, it takes two to tango and all that, but I don't blame him. I don't blame Gauthier for feeling that way.
Well, all right, hold on 1 second. Let me push back on that. Then it's a little different than what you were just talking about with Mitchkov.
Oh yeah, it's extremely two different situations.
Yeah, his was I'm too cool for school already, but here's a guy who an organization. You're fine. You're not going to give me what I want. I want out.
Again, I'm not sitting here telling you that Gauthier was the innocent victim in all this. I'm telling you, there's two to tango.
Yeah.
But I sure as hell would love to see him coming down the left side of that top line right now. Man, that would look nice.
Does Nooms
he's backing it up.
Yeah, that's right. He is. No, he is, and that's what burns it a little bit more. But does he? Does Nooms have a point here? Is there a problem? Players policing the situation, where the players are policing the situation.
Well,
So
that was my whole Tocchet point. He was so frustrated that he felt complicit to say it into the media, to bring that out to the media. That's how frustrated he was. For whatever reason, it wasn't getting fixed internally. Now, you want to blame the players for that? Absolutely. Sean Couturier, step forward. You're the captain. What's going on? I get that. But whatever the situation was, it could be management he's having problems with. Maybe Danny B doesn't want to, back up Tocchet and what he's doing. But whatever the situation was, Tocchet felt so inclined and so frustrated to air it out. And that is a mortal sin to bring business of the locker room outside into the media. Because if you look around sports, hockey's the only one that is completely tight-lipped inside that locker room. They don't talk about nothing that happens in that room. You don't know anything that's going on until after the fact. And that he brought that out of there tells me the frustration levels must be boiling over when it comes to Matthew Michkov.
All right. Well, then my next question is, Danny Briere, are you ready to make a judgment on Danny Briere? I mean, now let's talk about. We just talked about Cutter. We talked about the problems with Michkov, and maybe that's why they had the opportunity to get him. Kind of like Ben Simmons, like that's why he, kind of like falls to you, like type thing. Why Jet Luchenko could be traded already because he hasn't lived up to the.
That's another failed first round draft pick.
Yeah. Now we're hoping that Porter, what's it, Martone? I always say, yeah,
Martone, not Martoni. You don't Delco it up. It's Martone.
It's Martone. But it's, hey, I'm going to get the Italian flag on the Flyers.
It's going to be Martoni. I guarantee it. It's what his name's going to be.
Hey, I'll take Martone. It's whatever. The point is it time to question Danny Briere? And is it time to think about a change?
Yeah, we're getting there.
That's not a Flyer. It's not a former Flyer.
Well, I don't care about the whole Flyer thing, but no, it's getting there.
To see a pattern here.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other show, but I'm giving him the summer. I need him to be uber aggressive. He needs to do something. He needs to really jumpstart this thing. I don't mean take it from not making the playoffs for potentially 6 years in a row to winning a Stanley Cup, but I need an uber aggressive jump from him this summer. He needs to switch some of the things around. Again, Travis Konechny, I keep going back to him, and it's not to any fault of Konechny. He's bled for this team over the years. But Travis Konechny is probably our most viable trade option right now. Could bring back any sort of franchise-changing move. He needs to go. He's just not going to be part of the timeline here. It's just smart business sense to do that. It's time for that summer, that move. Now, whether that move works or not, we'll wait and see. But I don't want it sitting back anymore, signing the Christian Dvoraks of the world, the Garnet Hathaways of the world. I need a big-time aggressive summer.
Garnet Hathaway. Understood?
But anyway, I need that trade this summer. I need him to put the NA like that. Whoa.
If they only make basic trades or pick up one half-decent player.
We're getting to that question now. Yeah, it's time to start talking about what Danny Briere, I need to know what his timeline is. Am I going to still have my own teeth the next time the Flyers win a Stanley Cup? I mean,
alive. I mean, we all talk about that, like with the Eagles. Like I said, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2017, I was very emotional because I really kind of felt that was never going to happen in my lifetime. And I got to enjoy it with my grandfather, who was, of course, passed away since, but I'm like, he's like never going to see it. And he was, late 80s at this point, like mid to late 80s at this point. So he's sitting there going, am I going to see it? And my clocks are ticking a lot faster than this guy's is, and it's starting to feel like the Flyers, like if you said, Al, bet money, you live to 90 years old, that would be 47 years from today. In the next 47 years,
I don't know.
the Stanley Cup.
Oh no! I mean, what betting trends are we basing this off of?
Are we going to still be spouting about the Legion of Doom?
I don't know, man.
I mean, is that what's going to be happening to me?
I mean, that's a great question, and it's messed up that I'm sitting here saying I don't think that's a smart bet. I don't, because there's nothing to base that bet on. There's no success to say, you know what, they're going to win a cup in the next 50 years.
Just a number of odds, but again, how long has it been since they won their last?
1975.
Yeah, so I mean that's 50 years ago. Yeah. So saying in 47 years, can they win another one? You would think the numbers alone, like, yeah, in 47 years, there's got to be one, right? Well, there hasn't been one in 50 years.
Yeah, 51. No, it's not a good bet. It's not a good bet. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't lay any money on it. Maybe a buck, maybe.
I think something the Flyers organization sold their soul for back-to-back championships. Didn't read the fine print that said you'll never win one again in the existence of your organization. Like, it's starting to feel that way. Yeah. And Nooms is correct. I remember doing the draft with you. The three of us were puking at the Luchenko pick 2 seconds after it was made. I wasn't even puking. I was struggling. I had to really go back into my notes. I had to go back many pages to find about what I knew about Jet Luchenko.
Projected second round pick, and the Flyers took him at 13. I said it that night it was a reach, and they were going to regret that. And it's definitely he's no closer to getting the NHL now than he was 2 years ago.
We should go check on who we thought was going to be going at that time, and see how they're doing.
I forget the guy who I wanted, but I wanted somebody that's doing pretty well.
I'll have to go look in my my notes on that one. But no, Dooms, you're not wrong. We were all. I mean, that's why I have a bald spot right here, because I was scratching my head so hard that day. At least that's what I tell people. It's the Jet Luchenko drafting night that's what left that bald spot right here. The Flyers need to overpay a top free agent to get others to want to come to Philly. Is that true, Matty?
Well, the problem is there's no free agent to overpay. That's my point. If you take a look at the available people that we're going to be looking at, there's one free agent out there. Bobrovsky's a free agent, but he doesn't fit our timeline as a goalie. And but there's no centers out there that I would overpay because none of them fit the timeline.
Let me ask this question: how old is Bobrovsky at this point?
Mid-30s.
Is it worth taking him to come work with a guy like Vlad or something?
Not Vlad, Carson Bjornsson. And that's why they're not going to take Bobrovsky. They're going to go because Vlad's on the contract next year. They're going to go with him. They're going to bring Bjornsson up to back him up, and they're going to go that route, which is fine. They're not going to go after a goalie. And we can, again, that's a whole nother show too, but there's just nobody out there that fits the Flyers timelines in terms of that guy at center, the overpay guy. There's just nobody there. And the NHL threw a curveball to these teams and extended the cap back in October. Oilers and Knights pounced on their players and signed them. McDavid got a 2-year bump and Eichel signed an 8-year deal. So, there's two big pieces off of the table. They got the money, but just because you have the money, you don't spend it if you don't have to. And there's nobody out there, in my opinion, that fits that mold. There's players there, but I'm looking for that guy, and that guy ain't there. It's going to have to come through trade.
Noom says, I can't help notice that Michkov is just way better than with fewer people on the ice. But I think that's what makes it's kind of like a bread and butter thing. Like, that is his bread and butter. You get him in open space on the ice, he can make some people look foolish.
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen often. You need
European ice, that's his whole game. That was how he was raised. Now it's smaller North American ice, 5-on-5. Yeah, when you get him on 3-on-3, it's great. But you can't stay on the ice because he gets winded. It's a whole thing, man. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. I remember the second Stanley Cup and riding around with my dad and uncle honking. Yeah, I remember wasn't around for it, but I remember looking at the pictures from the newspaper, people hanging out their windows.
I was 2 when they won the second cup.
There you go. I wasn't even a thought. What was it speed that drew us to Luchenko? It seemed it was different, defensively responsible, but he just can't seem to stay with
100% speed. Speed, 100%.
All right, and the last piece of thing I really want to talk about today, because I know Matty, if you need to pop out, you can pop out. Because I'm just going to touch on this real quick and then the show up. But I want to thank you for jumping in, because it's always good to have you on Sunday morning. And the point I want to brought up is last night I also had the Flyers game on. The beauty of having multiple TVs in one room. I watched the UFC fight, which I'll be honest with you, I'm not a giant UFC guy. Like, I'll watch it, UFC. But I have some vesting interest in the guy who won the main event for the UFC.
Oh, it wasn't the girl, Ronda Rousey? I watch her fight anytime.
Well, no, it was the other girls. The other girl got not. There was the girl fight. I don't know their names, but the one
girl fight.
Yeah,
Also, it's the girl fight.
It was the only girl fight that night. That's why I can say it was the only girl fight on the night. And I mean, the one girl was knocked. Like she's still they were raising her hands, and she still didn't look like she was on. But the one I want to talk about was the main event, which was Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer won, which for those who have been following me since the EOP days, my original EOP days, even before Matty B joined me.
That's a long time ago.
2018, I believe it was. So
that's like year one, right?
Yes, it was. Well, we started. So EOP was under a different name, but we pretty much started the Eagles season of the 2017 season. So yeah, it was probably a year into.
Oh, the Super Bowl year was your first year?
Mm-hmm. Hey, this is so much easier. We should just do this more often. We win Super Bowls when we go live. Yeah, we were hanging our hat on that one for a few minutes. But one of my first interviews with a guy who was at the time living in Drexel. I think he was originally from New Jersey, but he ultimately was living in Delaware County. He was from Drexel Hill. He was being trained by a guy named Sammy Oropesa, a guy I grew up with, Sammy. And it was funny. If I wish I could find these. These were legitimate photographs, not digital photographs. If I could find them, I'll try to post up. But Sammy was shorter than me. And if you said, hey, you held the picture up and said, which one of these guys is going to grow up to be a big-time fighter, you would not have pointed at Sammy originally in the picture when we were younger. But Sammy ended up doing really well for himself. And then after, time went on, he started training this guy who is now, I think he's 29 years old, Joe Pyfer, Joe Body Bags Pyfer. And one of my first interviews in my old studio, and I'm talking the old one, in my basement, Matty B, not just the old Ridley studio or the one where we had before them. But this was it. So it was my first real professional athlete I got to interview. Even before,
take a shot at this one,
which I believe took the viewership from EOP.
I can tell you all about this, but I'll let Al do it.
What? Even before EOP, partner with TPI or TPL? Does that say TPL? Something like that?
Is that the painted line?
Yeah, which I believe took over the viewership of EOP in the end as Party on Broads, or as Party on Broad. So listen, we partnered up with them. They had a better YouTube. I'll just tell you this one. They had a better YouTube following. We had a better Facebook following. We merged. It was what it was. When I had to end
what it was. That's the business answer we're gonna get.
I'm just gonna say when we ended our agreement, they took it back. So they
took it back. All right.
Yeah. So, but it was very cool to watch a guy that I got to follow from the beginning. When he was just fighting at the 2300 arena, the old ECW arena in Philly here.
I know where's that.
To hang out with a few times. Good guy. And he's now top 5 in UFC right now in the middleweight division. After that fight went around round 2, 4 minute and 18 seconds. And in the beginning, it looked like the guy whose name was, they called him Izzy, but Israel kind of was controlling the fight for the most part. And then Body Bags does what he does, and he went, just started pummeling him. It was I can't really talk about fighting that much. I don't know much about it to really get technical about it. But it was just a cool video. If you go on Twitter and watch some of the highlights from it, so it was really cool. Congratulations to him and the way they handled at the end, real sportsmen, hugging and shaking hands as competitors. And it got a little emotional at the end because he admitted to, a few weeks ago, almost killing himself. So it goes to show you, especially with things like that, where you're getting hitting in the head and beat up a lot, and how he found God, and he's going to marry his wife or marry his girlfriend, and have some kids, and it's good to see things are coming around for him. But that was kind of a pretty cool moment last night. And congratulations to Body Bags and his team with Sammy and the rest of his team from Philly, who I don't really know those guys too well, but that he's getting to move up, and I believe. So he this was 5 consecutive wins, 4 of the UFC strike since joining the UFC. He expected to jump from 14 to top 5, and he got a $100,000 performance bonus last night because it didn't go the distance. Now he's 16-3 with 7-1 in the UFC, and 24-6. He's so overall, and for those who don't know, he was on the Dana White Contender Show. That's when he got his big break with the UFC and the contenders. And if anybody watches, he suffered a gruesome, like he broke his elbow, like his arm was flipping the other way. So he was able to come back from that and look as tough as ever. So God bless him.
Good for him. Yeah, absolutely. That's chasing your dream to no end, and that's character. That's what I'm talking about. That's the character that I'm talking about, and that's the kind of players you want. And that's the kind of people you want in your organization. Someone that's not going to listen to no one tell you can't do something, and you go out and chase it down. So that's what Michkov is not, in my opinion. Now, Steve asked a question early in the chat about Porter Martone. That's an interesting story. Former first-round pick last year. As I mentioned earlier, Michigan State Spartans were eliminated in their Final Four in a stunning upset at the hands of Wisconsin. Martone is done. Well, his season is done. Now, he is under contract. They signed him. But because he's playing the NCAA, the contract doesn't start counting until he actually joins the organization. He can play this year, yes, if the Flyers and Martone sit down and decide you don't need to go back to Michigan State for year 2, which he doesn't. He doesn't. He needs to come to Philadelphia. So I hope, to answer your question, Steve, yes, he can. Porter Martone play this year? Yes, I think he does. And I think you'll see him Friday night. Flyers Islanders is where Porter Martone will make his NHL debut. Now, I think it's interesting to note here.
Does that change if they win tonight? Win or lose, I mean.
That's what I was about to sit here and tell you. Okay. I don't think this has any bearing on the playoff push at all.
Okay.
Nothing. This has nothing to do with the Flyers making a push to the playoffs. This has everything to do with Porter Martone getting some experience, some ice time at the NHL level. And it doesn't hurt that it's a situation where there's meaningful hockey being played in April. That will not hurt this. I am not pinning the playoffs on Porter Martone's appearance. I'm not saying that this is what's going to push us over the top. I don't care about any of that. I care about Porter Martone playing and getting his NHL licks in this season in some meaningful hockey games. I don't have the playoffs have I don't care about that. So that's the answer to that question.
Okay. Well, guys, I want to thank Matty B for joining me at the last moment here. I can't see him on the screen. There he is, right over there. I want to thank him for joining me at the last moment. I did message him and ask him if he wanted to. He didn't have to, but he wanted to, and he did anyway. And I'm sure I've seen him turn his head over. I'm sure the home producer.
Oh yeah, no, I'm getting a little. I'm getting some static.
Tell her I will be sending her a fruit basket for taking up her extra amount.
Hey, Al said he's going to send you a fruit basket. Hey, you listening? I don't know if she's listening or not.
She's like, she already left. She's halfway down the street. She's like, I'm going out without him. But no, guys, I want to thank you for joining us today. I should say, on the books is more Matty B. That's right. Well, Sunday Fun Days with Matty B for your Sunday for the rubber match of the first matchup, the first series for the Texas Rangers and Phillies of the 2026 season, in the third Fighting's final of the season. Matty and I took you on Thursday with Mike yesterday, and today is Matty B again. So you'll get a little extra Matty, and that's it for tonight, though. There's no Fighting's final. That will be back tomorrow.
No, so we have Fighting's final today. We also have Clear the Ice tonight. No final word. No final word tonight.
I'm sorry. No final word. That's what I meant to say. No final word. There is a Clear the Ice tonight with the Stars game, and then tomorrow the final word is back. And I believe we have the national lineup here yet. Monday with Mike, Tuesday with me. I think at the Andrew Painter game, which I'm excited about.
Andrew Painter game.
And then Wednesday back with Matty B. So a lot of moving parts this week. So guys, thank you for joining us. Enjoy your Sunday mornings. Pray to God the Flyers find their way, and and the Phillies can take the series for our first series win of the season.
Luzardo, Mackenzie Gore. What do you think?
Well, Mackenzie Gore, former national Mackenzie Gore, knows the Phillies fairly well. Do you think the bats will wake up today? That's going to be the ultimate question. But the Phillies have hit Mackenzie Gore in the past. I think Luzardo is going to have a good game. I think the Phillies will win this one. It's going to be a close game though. Still, nonetheless, maybe I'll say 4-2 Phillies.
You see the Phillies going with a heavy right-handed lineup?
Well, definitely. I mean, he plays the lefty-righty matchups like crazy.
So Marchand today?
And it's the third game. Yeah, probably Marshawn. Is Sosa playing second?
Is the lineup out? I haven't seen.
I'll check right now before we get off the air. Let me see if they posted that yet. Come on, man. Looks great radio when I'm Googling now. Let's see. Phillies. Come on. Let's see. Nope. No lineup as of yet.
So Marshawn, Sosa, Kemp. Yeah. Marshawn, Sosa, and Kemp, you think?
Yeah. Oh, and there was one piece of news that kind of, I don't know if you want to say it broke or whatever when we were on the air. Mike Vrabel and the Eagles coach Nick Sirianni have had preliminary discussions about possibly having the teams practice together in the preseason, likely in Foxborough, according to leaked sources. So
it's good. The transition for AJ Brown good. He just walk across the field, and there he is. There's the trade.
Like, we're gonna drop you off today. Here's
yeah,
just adds to that fire right there. So there you go. That was the only one little piece of news that kind of broke. That happened since while we were on the air. But other than that, guys, thank you for joining me this morning. Thank you to Matty B for joining me this morning.
I'll be on next week too, because you're not going to be there.
Yes, it's Easter Sunday. I will not be here.
I'll be back next week too.
There you go.
This time with Homer number 2.
I'm gonna have to change the logo up a little bit. Cross out my name and put Matty B. But other than that, guys, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you all next time.